show you something very unique. Take a look at this Civil War uniform. This uniform belonged to a Stillwater resident named John Robertson. Robertson, he enlisted in the 8th Minnesota Company C. They all came from the Stillwater, Bayport, Oak Park Heights area. And they went down south. They fought in the Battle of Murfreesboro, Nashville, and Robertson was injured. He was convalescing in a hospital when he was promoted to captain, moved out of that regiment, and he became captain of a black regiment. And he helped command that regiment through the United States, through the South, and he ended up fighting in the Battle of Mobile. And in the Battle of Mobile, he wore this jacket. It went through, I mean, bullets were going, zipping by him. He wasn't injured in that battle, but this coat was there with all these buttons, the belt, the sash. He must have looked just gallant going down, battling through that, and he brought those stories of the Civil War back with him to Stillwater. He ended up working at the First National Bank in Stillwater, and he's also related, he married into the Isaac Staples family. So his roots are everywhere in Washington County, in Stillwater, and it's one of these tangible pieces of history that we can tell the story, not only of the Civil War, but of those families themselves.
Hi, welcome to From the Woods to the World. We're here at the Washington County Heritage Center, brand new opening to the public, and this is our really one of the best exhibits that we have here. Don't get me wrong, they're all good, but this is the one that as an educator I'm the most excited about. And when you come into this exhibit, one of the first things that you're going to see is this area of Washington County. This is going to be taken over by the United States government in 1837 with the treaty. There were two of them, one with the Ojibwe and one with the Dakota. There were a couple of earlier treaties that had been worked out. The first one was in 1805, and that was known as Pike's Treaty, and this really begins to open up this area and is going to create the displacement of the American Indian within the western part of the United States. So as you come in, you get to see that and kind of acknowledge that little piece of history, which I think is so important that we do.
That's a workout.
That definitely is a workout. But as a lumberjack, you had to work in teams, and this fancy saw was called the crosscut saw, and this is what was used very early on to bring down the tree. They would first notch it with an axe, drop it down, then when it was on the ground, they would take all the branches off, and then take that crosscut and they would saw it into long lengths, load it up onto a cart, and get it to its next destination, which oftentimes was down to the river.
And that was in the
This would have been in the 1850s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 1890s. The last log comes through Stillwater, and I believe it was 1914.
Awesome. All right, well, back to work here. Yep, here we go.
Right. To the left, your chin down. Good. Hi, I'm Emily Krupczewski, and we're here at the Washington County Heritage Center in our John Runk exhibit. Myron is my model for today. We have a camera here, and this dates back to 1914 to 1925. It was built at least partially by John Runk, and we also have a picture of it back here. He would use this for portraits and other studio types of shots, and definitely a prominent photographer here in the St. Croix Valley area. So we're very excited to have this here, and we're looking forward to everyone coming and seeing our exhibits.
This is such a cool piece here in this exhibit that it shows you that so much of the woods that were cut in northern Minnesota make their way to the sawmills in Washington County, some of them being here in Stillwater, some of them being to the north of us in Marine. Marine was actually the first commercial sawmill located in this area, which was in 1837 when that opened up. But as you take a look at this, some of the earliest ones that are going to be cut here in Stillwater are going to make their way down the St. Croix to the Mississippi and they end up in St. Louis, Missouri. And as we get into the 1870s, we don't rely quite as much on the river. We'll also begin to send some of those out on the locomotives, and with some of those, you can see that they get as far out as Denver, Colorado. Think about that. The buildings that are built in Iowa and in Missouri and in Nebraska, Colorado, they were built with the wood that was cut here in Minnesota and sawed up in Washington County.
And one of the exhibits that I like to showcase is the indigenous artwork that we have, showing the beadwork that was done over the time period of the last century. Back in my basement were these moccasins that were collecting dust. They were dirty. And I turned to Brent and I said, can I donate them to the Historical Society, because I don't want to see them just sitting in the basement collecting dust. I feel that then sparked Brent's idea of doing a beadwork exhibit showing off the creative work that was done by these people over the time period. Museology, one of the exhibit designers, the gentleman Larry, took the time to go bead by bead to refurbish these moccasins back to original health. And so I'm very proud that my mom and dad, Phyllis and Jim Simonette, were the owners of the moccasins and having them on display here as one of the first exhibits that you see when you walk through the front door of the Washington County Historical Society's Heritage Center.